Ask yourself, will your college define your future, strengthen your confidence, prepare you for success? The college you choose today will last a lifetime. That's why students who want to lead tomorrow make Wayne State College their first choice. With over 130 programs of study, Wayne State is the region's lowest cost bachelor's degree. Go to explorewayneStateCollege.com to find out how a quality education at an affordable cost is the right choice.
This podcast is a Believe Network and Siete production. Welcome to a special edition of the D-Loop Podcast brought to you by Believe Network. And oh my goodness, here we go again. It's about 4:27 in the morning that I'm actually recording this episode. When this news broke, I was about 2 hours away, so I did not obviously have any of my podcast equipment with me. And I said, well, the minute that I get home, I was going to record this reaction to the news that broke Saturday afternoon that All Elite Wrestling, AEW, terminated CM Punk effective immediately. I found out on their social media. I was just going through my feed on Twitter, well now known as the X app, and I saw this. It's a statement from All Elite Wrestling and Tony Khan. All Elite Wrestling has terminated the wrestler and employment agreements between Phillip Brooks, CM Punk, and AEW with cause, effective immediately. The termination was confirmed today by Tony Khan, CEO, General Manager, and Head of Creative of AEW. The termination follows a week-long internal investigation of an incident occurring backstage at AEW All In, London, on Sunday, August 27th. Following the investigation, the AEW Discipline Committee met and later convened with outside legal counsel before making a unanimous recommendation to Khan that CM Punk be terminated with cause. Khan offered the following statement. Phil played an important role within AEW, and I thank him for his contributions. The termination of his AEW contracts with cause is ultimately my decision and mine alone. Of course, I wish I didn't have to share this news, which may come as a disappointment to many of our fans. Nevertheless, I am making the decision in the best interest of the many amazing people who make AEW possible every week. Our talent, staff, venue operators, and many others whose efforts are unsung but essential to bringing our fans great shows on television and at arenas and stadiums throughout the world. That was from Tony Khan. It's no secret. There was a lot of things, happening, I would say over the last year or so, between, CM Punk and some of the members of the Elite, mainly Hangman Page, Kenny Omega, and the Young Bucks. As far as I can remember, and again, this is foggy brain. This is almost 4:30 in the morning. I'm actually doing this episode, but I wanted to get this out. Going back to when Hangman had did a promo in the ring, and I thought it was just within storyline, but apparently he went off script, and I guess Punk didn't appreciate it, and Punk kind of went rogue maybe a month or two later about it, which led up to last year's All Out pay-per-view, where Punk during the media scrum went off the rails a little bit and talked about things that were going on with certain members of the roster, mainly the EVPs, Omega and the Bucks, and just went on to talk about how he's working with children, how things are backstage, etc., etc., etc. And that led to an incident. And again, it's all speculation. I'm assuming something did happen. I wasn't there, and I'm not gonna speculate. But basically, some say it was, physical or whatever. Something happened, and I think Punk was actually injured. either during the match or something during that that got something, whatever the physical confrontation was. Again, I'm not really sure, but obviously Punk he was gone for a while. So ultimately that led to Punk coming back when they were relaunching the new show Collision that was going to be on Saturday nights, and basically it was going to be really the CM Punk show, and it was going to be more of a soft, roster split where some exclusivity will be, with some wrestlers being on Dynamite and some wrestlers being on Collision. And I thought it was cool, give an opportunity to some wrestlers that haven't been on TV in a while to get them some shine. But nonetheless, there was always these rumblings of things that were happening backstage. There were things that were happening backstage. But what led to, I guess, Punk's firing was an incident that happened last Sunday at All In. I think Jack Perry had made a reference to something that happened maybe a few weeks before on Collision about Punk, talking to him about using real glass for a spot. Instead of using sugar glass, Jack Perry wanted to use real glass, and Punk, again, this is all, hearsay, and that started whatever. And during the match with Hook, Jack Perry said something on camera in reference to that must have, that I guess Punk must have gotten upset about it. There was a confrontation. Again, I don't know the details of it, because again, AEW did their own internal investigation about it. I'm just going off of, as best of my knowledge as far as what happened. And because of that, here we go again. AEW made history, an incredible event, and then all of a sudden it was overshadowed by a backstage incident that happened. But last night rather, obviously, because this week, of all weeks that this happens, of Punk getting fired, AEW is in his hometown of Chicago because they did Collision Saturday night, and then of course, today is Sunday. Tonight is the All Out pay-per-view in Chicago. So of all days and all cities that this happened, it was in his hometown. And Tony did a pre-recorded video for the crowd. And again, I haven't watched Collision yet. I am at some point. But he said, "Today I had to make one of the toughest decisions of my professional career. Today I terminated Phil Brooks' CM Punk for cause. This stems from a backstage incident at AEW All In last Sunday. The incident was regrettable, and it endangered people backstage. That includes production staff, the people who help put the show on every week, innocent people who had nothing to do with it. I've been going to wrestling shows for over 30 years. I've been producing them on its network for nearly 4 years. Never in all that time have I ever felt until last Sunday that my security, my safety, my life was in danger at a wrestling show. I don't think anybody should feel that way at work. I don't think the people I work with should feel that way. And I had to make a very difficult choice today. It all came at the recommendation of the discipline committee here in AEW, as well as outside legal counsel who delivered a unanimous recommendation, and I have followed up on that recommendation. I'm sorry to any fans who are upset by this. I'm sorry to anyone who's upset by this. Despite that, we're going to have a great show tonight on Collision, and we're going to have a great AEW All-Out pay-per-view tomorrow here in Chicago. Last weekend was the greatest weekend in AEW history. This is the greatest week in AEW history. We're going to continue the great momentum here tonight on Collision and tomorrow night on the All Out pay-per-view. And that was, from what I understand and what I read, that it was basically a mixed reaction, from, fans are like, whether they're CM Punk, supporters or some that may not like him very much. Here is my opinion about all of this. And again, this is just a reaction, having a few hours to kind of, let it, sink in as far as what happened. I honestly thought that this was going to work itself out. I really did. For this reason only. There was so much money on the table for all of those guys to do business together. And again, this is my opinion and my opinion only. I have no inside knowledge. I just want to preface my comments by saying that. I have no inside knowledge whatsoever of what goes on in that company at all. I want to make that very, very clear. But I honestly thought, they're all adults. And at some point, the adults have to be adults and just say, hey, listen, let's put all egos aside and let's start making money. That's what I thought was going to happen. But to be honest with you, but on the other side of it, though, this was probably something that should have happened as far as parting of the ways with CM Punk. Because, as you start to hear, there's this and there's this problem, that's that problem. And maybe that may not be the company for him to be in. There's other companies to work for. Just here in the United States, you know what I mean? Number one, I think Punk can kill it on the indies. Look at Matt Cardona, what he's doing now. There's room for him to do that on the independent circuit. He has a name, and people will still go pay to see him wrestle, do appearances, etc., etc. There's Impact Wrestling, which there's nothing to sneeze at. I think Impact's doing extremely well. They're doing some incredible things. You know what I mean? Now, there's people that say, oh, but what about the WWE? I don't know if that relationship has been repaired. I don't know if that bridge is still burned or not. We don't know. If Punk were to go back to the WWE, cool. That's good for him. You know what I mean? I hope that, bygones are bygones. They can start fresh and he can maybe finish up the right way, with the company that really made him a household name. Because I was a CM Punk fan going back to Ring of Honor in the mid 2000s, like 04, 05. I became aware of Punk when I was reading online about a result of a Ring of Honor show when he had wrestled the iconic match he had with Samoa Joe. That's when I became aware of CM Punk, and for all intents and purposes, there was no YouTube in 2004. There wasn't. The YouTube came out in 2005. So that's where I became aware of him and his work. And then, of course, in 2006, he signs with WWE. And as they always say, the rest is history. So if he does indeed, if there's a way for him to go back there, hey, you figure it's been 10 years. It's almost, you think January will be 10 years since he actually was last seen on WWE TV as a contracted WWE superstar. So that would be interesting. I would like to see that. But again, who knows where this is all going to head. Maybe he may take the rest of the year to kind of recoup. I mean, I know he had an existing relationship with, I think it's a CMFC or some MMA company that's under the umbrella of the UFC. He was doing commentary for them. I'm pretty sure he still has a relationship with them that he can continue to do commentary for MMA. He's very smart, very knowledgeable about the sport. So again, who knows? But I was shocked, but I wasn't shocked when I heard the news earlier, because it was just, the news is just like every time you go online, on social media, especially on wrestling, wrestling Twitter or whatever the case may be, and there was always some new report about, Punk. There's a new report about Punk, new this, new that, new this. And I just hope that, AEW can pick up and move on for now, the post-Punk era. And I hope that Punk can move on in his life for, post AEW. You know what I mean? I just hope both sides can, move on and do big things for themselves. And that's my only hope in this regard. But yeah, that's the news. CM Punk terminated by AEW. Unbelievable. Well, if you're a wrestling fan, if you're a true wrestling fan, don't shy away from AEW because Punk is in there. If you love wrestling, and just continue to watch the product. Support all companies, not just the major companies. Support the indies too. You know what I mean? Shout out to Monster Factory Pro Wrestling. Shout out to ECWA. But I think if you're a true fan and you were watching, granted, if Punk may have gotten you to turn on the TV for AEW, hey, support them. They have a pay-per-view coming on tonight, which I'm going to be watching. I'm going to be reporting live on Twitter or X app, wherever you want to call it, on behalf of Believe Network. Shout out to Believe Network for providing me an incredible opportunity to have my podcast on. Super appreciative of the opportunity given to me this past January. But I'm going to get out of here, so don't forget AEW All Out will be on pay-per-view, and I believe you can actually see it at select movie theaters as well. I think I'm going to go to the movie, treat myself to the movies tonight, and watch AEW's All Out, and let's see what happens. Well, with that being said, take care, and like I always say, no matter what you do in life, always remember to make it count. See ya.